So you're applying for a job in tech, but you haven't touched your resume in forever. And you're probably asking yourself, where do I start? And you're probably procrastinating by watching this video. Thankfully, this is productive procrastination because today I'm going to share 3 tips how I crafted my resume to land interviews at Google, Facebook, Amazon, Twitter, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Hey guys, I'm Diana and I'm a senior product manager at a big tech company in Silicon Valley, California. And I bring you the best tips to start a career in tech and teach you how to be successful once you've made it. Let's first go over what 80% of people, what I like to call James, does in crafting their resume. By the way, did you know that the most popular name in the US is James and not John? Okay. James likes to write down in detail what he does on a day-to-day basis in his own words. James also likes to list down as much detail as possible in his resume. But why isn't James getting calls for interviews? Let's go over 3 tips that I use in crafting my resume to land myself interviews at big tech companies. And these are the same tips I use to help my clients land interviews at top tech companies. So the 3 tips are, first, imitate the job description. And I don't mean copy. Second, structure your resume around a narrative. Tell a story with your resume. And third, quantify your impact. Let me first explain the resume screening process so you know why these top tips are important. According to Glassdoor stats, each corporate job gets on average 250 resumes. So that means it would take forever for every recruiter to go through all 250 resumes by hand. So instead, they depend on a technology or a system called the Applicant Tracking System, or ATS, to help them go through all the resumes and scan for keywords and filter out resumes that are not relevant. And only those that pass through the Applicant Tracking System, ATS, actually get seen by a recruiter. And then when it does get passed to the recruiter, another part of reality is not all recruiters are intimately familiar with what that job entails. So most times they're also pattern matching and looking for keywords. Hence why tip number 1 is so important, where you want to imitate the job description. This means if you want to make yourself an obvious candidate to interview, the easiest way is to use the exact same keywords you're seeing in the job description itself. As you know, I like to show, not only tell, so let me show you my workflow. Firstly, I read the resume from top to bottom and highlight key themes that I'm seeing. Second, I use those key themes and write examples from my job experiences that reflect that key theme. Then I'm looking for the most used keywords, and I love using the word cloud tool, which makes it in a very visual way what are the most commonly used words in that resume. Then I start sprinkling those keywords throughout my resume and replace synonyms that I've used with those exact keywords. And again, why this is important, because this system is often looking for exact keyword matches. It's not that smart to be looking for synonyms or to be looking for related keywords. And note, I would not copy key themes or keywords that don't actually reflect the experience you've had. That's called lying. Don't do that. Don't do that. My second tip is to structure your resume around a narrative. Tell a story with your resume. The tech industry is very engineering dominated, and engineers tend to think very structurally. Most people tend to list random bullet points in no particular order, which makes it a bit hard to follow. You can make it easier for the reader by prioritizing what's most important at the top and using that to lead the other bullets on the bottom as supporting the story you want to tell with your experience. So let me show you how to do this. So for each company, you want to start the first 1 to 2 bullet points with the most important and impactful project or role that you've had at the company. Say you were the engineering director that led a team of 250 engineers. Now that you've listed that out for every company you've been at, you want to follow up that first bullet point with what actual impact you've had at the company. So in that last example, you led a team of 250 engineers, and the impact statement would be, I grew our engineering team from 10 engineers to 250 engineers. So you're showing the impact that you specifically had at the company. This can be anywhere from revenue impact, team impact, and we'll talk about this in the third tip, but quantify as much as you can. The following bullet points should support the first and second bullet points by breaking down the responsibilities and skills you've used to help you accomplish the first and second bullet point. So say in this case, I grew the team by hiring 200 additional people and mentoring them. That supports the first bullet point. Another supporting bullet point would be, I worked with the cross-functional teams to identify the needs in hiring across 5 product teams. If you're applying to a job in tech, you want to talk the talk and talk the technical lingo so whoever is reading your resume feels confident that you can walk the walk. And if you're not as familiar with the lingo in the tech industry, an even better reason why you should imitate the job description as much as you can, as much as it reflects your actual job experience. The third tip is to quantify your impact. In the tech world, we are obsessed with quantifying everything. So you'll stand out if you're able to show that you've had a numerical impact on your company's top line goals. My recommendation, every other bullet point, find a way to quantify something. You say you've grown your team by how many people? You say on your resume that you've worked on a large project. How many cross-functional team members were involved, or what impact did it have at revenue at the end of the day? Some things that you can easily quantify are growth in number of users, revenue, cost savings, growth in team size, maybe savings on time. A question I get all the time is, Diana, but I don't know the exact number or the exact impact I've had. Again, you're not looking for an exact number like I contributed 2.57% on revenue. You're looking for an estimate. So ask yourself, did you contribute something like closer to 5% or something like 50%? And having something directionally will help the recruiter and the hiring manager assess just how large of an impact you actually had. And more importantly, it shows them that you're results oriented. So to summarize, my top 3 tips are: first, imitate the job description. Second, structure your resume around a narrative and tell a story. Third, quantify your impact. Give these a try. You'll see that writing your resume actually ends up being easier if you use this methodology. Most of my clients, they struggle to write their resume because they're given a blank page and they don't know where to start. So start with this methodology and this framework, because not only does it make it easier for you to write, it makes it easier for hiring managers to look through your resume and actually get a sense of what you do. It'll help you stand out from the 80% of other resumes from James's, because your resume is so much more clearer and outcome driven. So stop procrastinating and start implementing these tips to get your resume ready and go get that dream job. Like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to hear me talk about how to get your resume in front of decision makers. and check out my other videos of tips on how to interview. Thanks, guys!